In this lesson, I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can sample in Ableton. Starting off with the Ableton's Simpler plugin. The Simpler can be used for many different things. One of the first ways you can use it while using classic mode is loading up a tone or a synth sound or anything, just in case you want to loop it or recreate a certain type of sound you have in your head. It has 3 different modes you could choose from: classic, one shot, and slice mode. The classic mode, I like to use it for if I'm trying to sample a tone or a synth maybe. So if I drop a tone into it, see if I can find something. Okay. So with classic mode, you're able to loop and fade and start. So when you hold down, you'll be able to loop it and add and basically create your own instrument within the simpler instrument. One-shot mode is basically very self-explanatory. You hit a key and it basically plays on its own like a one-shot. I like using the one-shot mode for drums just because it gives me the flexibility to change the drum sound whenever without having to delete or stopping the audio in any way, shape, or form. So if I was to open up a MIDI clip and do a little basic pattern, the Simpler gives me the flexibility to change instruments in and out. So let's say I don't like that hi-hat, I could change it whenever I want. And it gives me the flexibility to just preview samples without having to stop audio in any way, shape, or form. With the slice mode, I like using this for full songs when I'm starting from scratch or anything in general with slicing. I like to use the slice mode just because it gives you a few different options when it comes to slicing. So you're able to slice by transients and control the sensitivity, as you see here. You're able to slice by the beat. So you see here, the beat usually works with the warp markers. So if you don't have any warp markers set on the actual audio clip before dropping it into the Simpler, it was gonna set its own warp markers. I'll touch more on this in a later lesson. Another way you can sample in Ableton is by using Ableton Sampler, which is basically similar to the Simpler, but instead it's just one big sampler where you can just throw anything into it. With this instrument, I like to use it for tones, synthesizers, and also 808s. So you throw 808 into it, find the 808 here. Okay. So with 808s, if you want the flexibility to play across the keyboard, this will give you that and also give you way more control of the 808, controlling the attack, decay, sustain, release, the volume of the 808, the frequency, things of that nature. I will also go over this in a later video, but that's also another way to sample in Ableton. Another way that I like to do it is by hand, which is how I initially learned how to use the program. When you chop things by hand, you basically have the whole arrangement view layout to work with. It gives you the flexibility to loop wherever you want, make edits, chop, and basically have the freedom to time stretch at will. So if I wanted to adjust these word markers right here and put this into time, I could do that just freely. I'm doing this blindly. And then from there, you can start splitting, duplicating, and making your own mess of things. Another way of sampling is also by using Ableton's drum rack. If you wish to drop a drum rack and want full control again, if you like chopping by hand, you could easily drag and drop the audio clips you had chopped into any cell and continue from there and do it by hand. So those are a few ways you can sample in Ableton Live. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you how to choose samples.